Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4. It's a little dark out here, but oh well. There's crickets, other critters. I think I figured out the thing that I bumped into a few videos ago that I thought was a cicada. It may have just been a really loud, grasshopper / locust. Because I've been seeing big old grasshoppers around here lately, so that's probably what I bumped into, not a cicada. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. The past few videos I've made have been about Ninja Turtles, the new show, and I'm not going to do another video on that until all 30 episodes come out, because the second one came out today. I'm assuming the next one's going to come out tomorrow. So I'll just give my overall thoughts on the whole thing once it's out as one big package. And I'm really hoping we get more, but I doubt we're going to get more with this. My hopes are low. From the looks of it, Splinter doesn't even exist in this universe. Nor Shredder. I haven't got a hint of it. We got Bebop and Rocksteady though, so that's something. That could mean Shredder's here, but Mutant Mayhem had Bebop and Rocksteady without Shredder, so you never know what you're gonna get. Anyway, what this video is about is a topic I, probably could have talked about sooner, to be honest, but because I was busy with Teeny Mutant Ninja Turtles and whatnot, and the fact that it was just a leak, we didn't even know if it was real yet, but we've gotten confirmation that it's real, so I'm going to talk about it now. MLP G6 or MLP G4 rebooted. I don't want to say it's G6, even though it probably is in a technical sense. Since it's just a reuse of G4, it doesn't feel right calling it G6. And let me explain. MLP G1 had not a set group like the main 6 and G4 and etc. It was before the franchise started doing that. It had a core group of, consistently reoccurring ponies. But, they wouldn't all appear at the same time. So, I don't know if you really counted. The only main characters in G1 were Megan and Spike. Maybe one or two of the ponies, but not all of them. So, it was before the whole main group thing got established fully, but you could say it was there with like 9 or 10 ponies, give or take, if you want to. The point is, that was their ponies. That was their main characters right there. G2, which never got a TV show or anything and only got a video game, had 4 or 5 main ponies of their main group. Then G3, at the beginning of it, was like G1. It just had a few miscellaneous ponies. Minty was clearly one of the main characters, but she got shafted when they decided to have a core group. They had the core 7, and Minty was not in that core. They screwed her over. And then later they added an extra member to the core 7. Sounds familiar. Anyway, G4 had the main 6 plus Spike. And then later on, they added a 7th member, Starlight. G5 had the main 5, but after the first movie in one of the shows, they added a 6th member. So that seems to be the pattern here. Start out with a main set number and then add one member later down the line. That's the pattern. But the point I'm making here is G1, we had their own little group. G2 had their own group. G3 had their own group. G4 reused some names from G3, like Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash, and they even reused Applejack from G1. And there was 2 different ponies in G1 named Twilight, a unicorn and a Pegasus. And they just took the name and reused it here for a unicorn that later turned into an alicorn. You get the gist. They reuse names, but they're not the same characters. They're clearly different characters. Their personalities are different. Everything about them is different. They just look kind of similar and have the same names. So, even if it has the same name, that doesn't mean it's the same character. Every generation of MLP is supposed to have a new main group. And it's supposed to be a new world. Completely disconnected from the previous generation. Set in its own universe with its own lore. Everything. And its own rules for how the world works. Its own logic, etc. Everything. Totally different universe. Totally different reality. That's the way it's supposed to be. But with the new release, with the new reveal that we have the main 4, which is just 4 members of the main 6 from G3. Now, them like G4 reusing like 3 names from G3 and then 1 name from G1. No, wait, was it 3? Oh, yeah, they used 2 names from G1 because Twilight, but I always get confused because there's 2 Twilights in G1, so it's not 1 character. You get the point. So they reused 2 names from G1, 3 names from G3, and then have 1 new name with Fluttershy. Actually, was there a Fluttershy in G3? I think there was, but it may have only been in the toy line. And it may have not been yellow. It may have been a completely different pony, if I remember correctly. Or I'm getting it mixed up. I don't remember off the top of my head. Point is, you can... G3 or G4 didn't completely reuse G3. It still was mostly original. It just reused some names. This seems like they're just taking the G4 cast of main 6 and just cutting out 2 of them, because in the promo for the new voice actors they sound like they're trying to mimic the G4 voice actors, sort of. So, and they sound like they have similar, if not the same, personalities, which is making me think these are not different characters with the same names. These are the same characters, just a different universe version of them. You know, like the Ninja Turtles multiverse, multiple Leos, multiple Dons, or Spider-Man with its multiple Spider-Mans throughout the multiverse. You get it. These are just new versions of the previous characters, it seems like, and not new characters, which that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be new every time. Now, the whole "it's new every time" has kind of started to have been breaking, sort of. Like with how much they reused from G3 for G4, you could argue that G4 is the one that started to break it. But nah, they're just reusing names mostly. They weren't like fully recycling stuff. G5 had a completely new cast, like you should, but it tried to be in the same world as G4. It was set 100 years in the future. It implied the events of G4 happened. They're trying to connect them as one world, but it doesn't work. There's contradictions, there's plot holes. It just doesn't work, and it completely ruins G4 by making Twilight seem like a terrible ruler who failed miserably and fucked up everything, undermining all the growth and development she went through throughout the whole of G4. That's neither here nor there. Point is, G5 flopped for a few reasons, and that being one of them. And now, G6 seems like it's not even going to be an actual G6, it's just going to be a G4 reboot, which is what G5 was originally going to be until they changed their mind. They were like, G4 did well, let's just reboot it. But then they were like, wait, what about our tradition? Okay, let's make it a sequel instead. We got to keep it connected to G4 somehow so we can make that money. So let's make it a sequel to G4. That way we're still following the tradition of it being new ponies, but we still have connections to the previous thing that made us all that money, right? I see what the corporations were thinking, but no, that was a terrible idea. And they're not learning their lesson. This new one, Forever Friendship, as the new show is going to be called, is a completely separate world from G4. Like, it's a new continuity, new world, new lore, new everything. It's gonna have its own everything. It's not in the same universe at all. But it's so they're on the right track with that. But it seems like it's just a G4 reboot rather than something totally new like every other generation has been. So, oh, come on, you were starting to go down the right track and then you fucked up again. I'm hoping that G6 doesn't fail. I'm hoping the show is actually good. Hope the writing is good. I hope it's a good show. I hope it's not terrible. But, oh my God, they fucked. What we need, and I'm going to lay down 3 things that we need. 3, maybe 4. And here's the things they need to do to make sure they don't screw this up. I think it's too late. G6 is already well into production, so there's no stopping this now. But if G6 does flop, I know what they got to do for G7. Here we go. Well, number 1, completely new world, new lore, new everything. Start over, a fresh restart, clean slate, nothing. Not connected to the previous generation at all. Not a continuation, just a new world. Kind of like every Ninja Turtles iteration. But not a complete reboot of the previous generation where we have the same cast of characters, same setting, la la la. No. That's number 2. A completely new cast of characters. You can reuse some names, but make sure they're still different characters. Like if you want to have like a Fluttershy, but not have her be shy or have her not like animals, sure, go for that. I made my own version of G6, I was making my own version of G6 before the official one got revealed. And I was going to have my own Rainbow Dash that was a unicorn, who is a nerdy librarian type, like Twilight. Basically, if Twilight and Rainbow Dash did a fusion dance, so now we got a fast librarian. Kind of like how G3 Rainbow Dash was an Earth pony, then we got a Pegasus. Makes sense? Come full circle. Get a unicorn Rainbow Dash. I like that idea. But don't just reuse all the names from G6 and then make their personalities different. No. You can use like a couple, but make sure you have at least one new pony in there. At least. So, here's the last thing, number 3. No modern technology, no cell phones, none of that. We want fantasy. People didn't like it when they did that in Pony Life, which was the tail end of G4, it was G4.5, and people didn't really like it in G5. In fact, after watching the movie a second time, I realized them having the internet doesn't make sense. It kind of breaks the world. Because how can there be racism and misinformation about each other when they have internet? Couldn't they just, unless it's like some places in the world like China where their internet is blocked, so you can't reach people on the outside. Or I guess you could say that, the unicorns are in the woods, they got no technology, but the Pegasi do. The Pegasi have their own social media and everything. Why haven't the Pegasi and Earth Pony interacted with each other online and realized, hey, they're not bad? Heard a stick break, but I don't know what that was. I'm just gonna keep walking. I'm by a lake. Oh, the moon looks so cool right now. Anyway, so that's stupid. We want fantasy. We don't want that shit. I let it slide with Pony Life because that was just kind of a silly, goofy, meant to be like turn off your brain and have fun kind of show. But for this, I don't know. It just doesn't work in G5. It doesn't. So that's the three things. Completely new world, completely new cast, and no modern technology. Those are the three things that we need. I don't know if we're going to have modern technology in Forever Friendship. It looks like we're not, but we don't know yet. G5 had one thing right. It was a new cast. And this new one, G6, or G4, the reboot, has one thing right, the new world. But it's still using the same cast, or at least 4 of them. See, and that's the thing. If you're not going to give us a real G6 and just reboot G4, and then have G4 be like a separate running franchise alongside whatever the next main G is, which I think would be a good idea. That way you can still, have your capitalizing on the popularity and success of G4 while also not breaking the tradition fully. Kind of like how Equestria Girls was a side franchise off of the main G4. Just have a reboot, or if you want, a weird continuation, which you're already kind of doing with the comics, Hasbro. You're continuing G4 stuff with the comics, so you're already kind of doing this. So if you want to continue G4 or reboot it, don't half-ass. Why are you cutting out Rarity and Applejack? I get it. Hasbro hates Applejack because she sold the least toys. They hated her. That's why they scrapped rebooting G4 and just decided to make it a sequel instead for G5. Because they couldn't solve the Applejack problem. The problem that she was boring and no one... plenty of people love Applejack. I love Applejack. I love all the main 6. Pinkie Pie's my favorite. Twilight is pretty close too. But I love them all. I love them. I don't know why. Whatever. I kind of get why. I've heard some people give their critiques on Applejack. That everyone else had a goal and ambition that they eventually, got in the show. Twilight became Princess. Rainbow Dash became a Wonderbolt eventually. Rarity opened many different shops. Fluttershy got her Animal Sanctuary, ECT. Everyone got what they were going for, eventually. While Applejack, she was already content where she was from the get-go, so she never had anything to get to. So you could say that's kind of boring, but, some people are like that. Got to get their representation in there. Some people are happy where they are. Side tangent, unrelated, or kind of related. Digital Circus. It recently ended, but the message of the series that the creator was trying to tell was to find meaning in a stagnant life, and I think Applejack represents that. She's happy where she is. She's perfectly content. She's fine. She's where she wants to be, and I'm proud of her. I'm good for her. So, all the Applejack hate, stop that. Because now Hasbro completely cut her out of this half-assed G4 reboot. I'm torn between calling it a G4 reboot or a G6, because it doesn't quite work as either. Because it's just recycling G4, but cutting out important things like 2 of the main cast members. Now I knew about the Applejack problem and how she was like the least popular of the main 6, but Rarity? I didn't know Rarity had issues. Did people not like Rarity? I get sometimes she can be annoying, drama queen, but it's funny. It's funny. And she's fabulous. And she's... What, is she too girly? This was originally supposed to be a girl franchise, and it just happened to get a male audience in G4. So what? Are we cutting the character that's too girly to satisfy the boys? Applejack is pretty tomboyish. What, is she too tomboyish? Are we cutting out her to satisfy the girls? Are we trying to play both sides here? Why did we exclude Rarity and Applejack? I don't know. Maybe traditions are meant to be broken, and this tradition of it's a totally new thing each time has been slowly breaking. With G3, or with G4 recycling a lot from G3 and a little from G1. Because, yeah, Scootaloo was one of the main, core 7 from G3, and she's back in G4. Not as one of the main characters, but she's one of the, reoccurring supportive side characters. She's part of the CMC. Cheerilee was part of the core 7, if I remember correctly, and now she's here as a teacher, as like a reoccurring background character. And Minty makes a cameo in one of the shorts. And I don't know if... I said that the G3 and G4 variants of the main cast, like Rainbow Dash, they're too different to be the same character. They're just reusing the same name. But I'm not too sure about the rest, because... I don't know, maybe I just don't watch enough G3, and... G3 is kind of bad. I will eventually watch all of it at some point, but... I'm getting to it, okay? I'm working my way up to it. But I don't know if Cheerilee from G4 is the same character from G3, it's just a different multiverse version of her, or if it's a completely different character with the same name. I think Scootaloo's different. I don't think Scootaloo was tomboyish in G3. I also don't think she was disabled. I have to look into that. But one being disabled and one not being disabled does not mean it's not the same character. That's just what that different version of that character has in that universe. It just depends on how different they are. I've talked about this in the past with Ninja Turtles, how the Rise variants of the Turtles are still the Turtles. They still have their core traits in there, so they're still them. It's just a different, extremely different version of them. You could argue maybe the same thing could be said about the G4 guys. They are still the same characters as their G3 counterparts. They're just different. But the G3... See, the problem with G3 is that the writing is so piss poor. I don't think any of those guys had core traits that could be examined and figure out what they are, because they're all so shallow and one note. My girlfriend, when I explained G3 Rainbow Dash and how it's basically Rainbow Dash and Rarity from G4 did a fusion dance, she loved it, because those are her two favorite ponies. So her favorite pony now is G3 Rainbow Dash overall in all the franchise, even though G3 Rainbow Dash is a very shallow, one-note, bland, nothing character. It's fabulous and rainbows. Every other thing out of her mouth is rainbows, rainbows, rainbows. She's obsessed with rainbows. Rainbow this, rainbow that. There's nothing deeper about her character. And that's the problem with G3. That's why G3 failed. Or, I guess it did successful enough that it lasted longer than G5 did. I don't know how the hell that happened. I don't know. G3 sank the reputation of MLP and made everyone fully think that it was just a girly girl and nothing burger of a franchise with no substance. It was just meant for little kids who haven't, become self-aware yet. You know what I'm saying. When G1, from the get-go, right out the gate, was dark as hell. Yeah, it was still clearly a girly franchise, but it wasn't overly, grossly girly. There was dark shit. Ponies were being kidnapped and forced into slavery and mutated or magically transformed into monsters against their will. It was dark. It was scary. There was some scary stuff there. There was some serious stuff in G1, but everyone seems to forget about that. And then when G3 comes around, they strip all that away, make it a bland, bleh, nothing. A shallow, no substance piece of crap. And it ruined the franchise until G4 saved it. G4 not only put some of the darker elements back in, but was actually just so well written that anyone could enjoy it, no matter their age or gender. And that's how the bronies came to be. And then G5. What does G5 do? The first movie of G5, other than the whole technology part kind of breaking the world, was decent. It was well written. It was good. It was starting off good. It was not sure if it was the same level as G4 or a little below it, but it was close. And then the shows, from what I've heard, started to go downhill. It wasn't as bad as G3, but it was in between G3 and G4. Like, the characters got dumber. They kept making dumber decisions. They weren't acting as well fleshed out and as in-depth as they were in the movie. They started to child the thing down. But despite those setbacks, there's still a good number of people that still love G5, so they didn't dumb it down too much. Some people could just accept, it, but then others couldn't. So that's why G5 failed. If they would have just stayed at the same level as G4, writing-wise, instead of trying to dumb it down because it's for little kids, it would have been just as good as G4. Also, if they cut ties with G4 and made it a totally new world from the get-go, that would have saved it too. And of course, get rid of the technology. But other than that, the writing, I guess that's number 4. I should have mentioned that earlier. Number 4, make sure the writing is good. Make sure the writing is freaking good. Please, for the love of God, good writing. That's all we ask for, good writing. That's the whole reason why you watch a show, watch a movie. You watch it to be entertained. You watch it for good writing. Of course, there are some shows and movies that aren't good. They don't have good writing, but they're still entertaining because they got something else going with them. So I guess if you make the show entertaining enough, it doesn't matter how badly written it is. Just make it entertaining. Have something going on. I really, really hope that G6 or G4 rebooted, whatever the hell this forever friendship is. I hope it's good. I really do. But oh my God. We have the creators, some of the creators of the 2 shows, I don't remember which one, from G5 coming back, because G5 had 2 shows, a 3D one and a 2D one. I think it was Make Your Mark. Whatever. One of the people from that show are coming back to work on this show. And since G5 had that reputation of almost getting to G3 level, almost, it's in between G3 and G4 when it comes to writing quality. And the fact that one of the people who worked on Bluey for a few episodes is here, so I'm getting mixed signals. Is this going to be good? Is it going to be mid? I guess that's a good way to put it. G5 wasn't bad; it was mid. Depending on how you enjoy the writing, because like I said, some people stand by the show, and some people prefer it over G4. And you know what? Whatever floats your boat. I feel bad that it got canceled prematurely. But I don't know. I'm worried. I'm really worried. No, it wasn't Bluey. No, I'm thinking of something else. It was Peppa Pig. One of the people who worked on Peppa Pig is coming back for this. So we got a Peppa Pig person. Unless that was debunked. Maybe that was just a rumor. But we got some people from G5, Make Your Mark. Or no, it was Tell Your Tale. It was Tell Your Tale. I don't remember which one, but one of the G5 people. And someone from Peppa Pig. And I haven't watched Peppa Pig, but from everything I've heard about it, I get mixed signals. Some people say it's childish slop that's not good, and others say, oh, it's actually okay, it's pretty good. I don't know. You know what? What I said earlier about we got a Bluey person working on this? Yeah, that's a good idea. Get some people who worked on Bluey to come on here. I would love to see a Bluey-style MLP show. That would be good. Might not be as good as G4 because Bluey doesn't have action with like an epic story going on, like what we had in G4 with Tyrek in season 4, that big fight scene. If we make an MLP show that's like Bluey, we're not going to get that. But Bluey is still good. Plenty of people of all ages can enjoy it, and that's all we're asking for. So if they got some people from Bluey on here, that would actually be great. But I don't think we're getting that. We got Peppa Pig and some of the G5 people. I hope that leak from like months and months ago, before the recent leak that got revealed to be true, I hope that one was false. I hope we're not getting a Peppa Pig writer on here. I don't know. I doubt anyone's gonna watch this and leave a comment because most of the time my videos don't get any views. But if someone does, and someone who's watching this has seen Peppa Pig, you tell me if it's good or is it bad. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to check it out. I have no interest. I'm only going out of my way to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles simply because it's Ninja Turtles related. I have no reason to go out of my way to watch Peppa Pig. That's neither here nor there. Alright, the hell? Anyway, I've rambled enough now. I've rambled enough. This video's gone over the 30-minute mark. This was only meant to be like a few minutes because my phone has been having storage space troubles recently, so I wanted to try to limit that. But when I get started, I just can't stop. I just keep talking. I just ramble. Rada, like Snitchell. So remember these 4 things to make a good new iteration of MLP. A totally new continuity, its own universe, its own world with its own lore and own world rules of how everything works. A totally clean slate. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, a new main cast. Maybe some of them can reuse names from a previous generation, but still they gotta be new characters as a whole. Rule number 3, no modern technology. None. The farthest back you can go is like 1800s technology. That and beforehand. Anything after? No. None of that. And lastly, just get some good fucking writing in there. That's all we want. That's all we want. The reason why, and I'm taking this from someone else's video, the reason why G4 did well was because it was well done. It was well written. That's why we like Twilight. Just taking Twilight and other characters and putting them in slop is not going to make it gold. Twilight isn't what made the show good. The good writing is what made the show good. That's why Pony Life failed, even though I kind of like Pony Life. And that's why G5 failed. Because just putting a character we already know and love and are attached to into something that's not good isn't automatically going to make it succeed. Just make something good. Make it good first, and then maybe think about, if you want to, you can add Twilight in there. Let's make it good first. If you want, you can have the main 6. Like, not different characters with the same name, no. Like a multiverse new version of the main 6 in there, but as maybe background characters or like mentor figures for the new main cast. That's kind of what I'm going to do for my own G6, which is, I guess now it's going to be my own G7 before the official one comes out, because I took too long to make it, and now We already have our G6, or whatever the hell this is. It's not quite G6, it's not quite G4 rebooted. It doesn't fit either because it's missing crucial elements from G4, but it's not totally new either. It's just G4 remixed. What the fuck is this Forever Friendship? And this new live action movie that's coming that people were wondering, what is it? Is it G5? Is it G4? And at the time they said it wasn't quite anything. It was its own standalone thing, not connected to any G. That doesn't make sense, but I guess now we know. It's going to be a part of whatever the hell this is. This G6, whatever you call it. You know what? I might still call mine G6, maybe. We'll see. Since this thing isn't clear on what the hell it is, I'm just going to maybe say mine is G6. Theirs is a weird thing that doesn't fit anything. You know what, maybe I might make my own G4 rebooted as well, just for the hell of it, using some of the reboot concepts that were scrapped for G5. I thought about doing that, because I actually think some of those concepts were pretty neat. Like remixing the main 6 and switching their species around. That's a neat idea. I think that would be interesting to see an Earth Pony Twilight flying around Equestria in a makeshift flying machine and discovering the other pony species. Let's not have the plot of G5. The fuck? Let's not have the plot of G5 where the ponies were together in the past, but then something happened and they all split up and racism took over again, so now we gotta defeat racism again. Now let's just have this be a clean slate where the world just started and the ponies either don't know about each other or are scared of each other, and then Twilight flies around, learns everything, and finds out, hey, they're all good. Let's all work together instead of being racist. And boom, everyone's united. And then maybe Twilight becomes an alicorn. That's another thing from G5. Sunny became an alicorn in the movie at the end, but then in the show, she's not. She's a spiritual alicorn of some kind where her horn and wings are transparent and they can come and go like a power-up. That's BS. She deserved to become an alicorn after what she did in the movie. That's my opinion. Whatever. It is what it is. Oh, and I don't know. From the looks of it, people are worried Spike's not going to be in this either. But Spike was in G1. He was the main character of G1. Spike, there wasn't any shows or anything in G2, but he got a toy in the toy line. Unnamed dragon, but it's Spike. Spike was in one part of G3. That version of him was the worst version of him. He's a main character in G4. I don't care what people say, he's a main character, bite me. He's awesome in G4. And in G5, because it's supposed to be connected to G4, we see Spike all grown up and he's a big dragon now, but still he's there. He's in all Gs, except for G0, but we can excuse that one. It's before they came up with Spike. G0 is My Pretty Pony. It was before. That's a long story. He's in every G. He's gonna be in this in some shape or form. Might be a cameo, maybe, but still, he'll be there. And if he's not, we riot, because that's another tradition thing. Spike's got to be there. So, like I said earlier, the G3 and the G4 variants, and the G1 Applejack and the G4 Applejack are not the same characters. They're too different. They just share a name. Spike, however, he's a little different from world to world, but I don't think different enough to count as a new character. I think Spike is the only character who shows up in every universe. So we better get Spike, and he better stay, similar enough to the previous ones that it's still the same, it's the same character, it's just a different version of them. We got knockoff Spike in G5, because Spike was already all grown up, so it wouldn't make sense to have him there with the cast as a baby again. So they made this Coco Melon looking dragon that everyone hated, because we see what you were doing with that, Hasbro. You're not slick. Again, trying to dumb and kid this down, even though the show got popular in G4 because it was appealing to adults too. You're missing the point. Okay. I'm talking too much. I've almost reached the 40-minute mark, so I'm gonna you get the gist. So those are the 4 rules. Totally new, clean slate, new world, new main cast, no modern technology, and good writing. That's what we need for a new G. Not whatever the hell they're doing here. I'm hoping whatever the hell they're doing here does work. I hope it's a good show. But I have a feeling like G5, it might flop because it's just not quite hitting the mark. But I'm hoping I'm wrong. Anyway, see you guys next time. Peace.